Hey friends, I know you can tell what this video is about based on the title of it. However, I thought I would go ahead and kind of surprise you with some information. And because we were so close, I wanted to keep you in the loop, but I went on a date recently and it was a lot of fun. I think it's safe to say that there's going to be another one here pretty soon. And because we were so close, I actually got permission to show you a photo of my date and thought you might like to see it. So, are you ready? It was me! I took myself out on a date and it was awesome. Dude, if you have not taken yourself out on a date before, you are missing out. It was so much fun, and I had just realized that I had not taken time to decompress and sit and just kind of evaluate what my life has looked like for the past few months. And so I decided to take myself out to give me that opportunity as well as just to have some fun. If you're feeling the way I was, I recommend you take yourself out on a date. And I'm going to share with you the tips that I have learned so that you can do this on your own. Starting off, when I'm taking myself out on a date, I like to dress up a little bit nicer than I normally would. But nicer is kind of relative, so if I'm going to a nice place to eat, I'll dress up nice. If I'm going to a movie, I will wear my favorite t-shirt and just be kind of cozy and comfortable. So figure out what works for you in this situation, but don't be afraid to be formal if that's what suits the situation. Number 2, go eat some good food. As a lover of food, I suggest you go take yourself to someplace nice, maybe a little bit nicer than you would normally eat otherwise. I took myself out to the fanciest of Italian places, the Garden of Olives. And when you go to a restaurant by yourself, do not sit at the bar. You request a table. Pro tip, when you request a table for one and the hostess asks you, table for one? Are you sure? Just make sure you don't do this.
The world is ending.
Instead, you lean up to the counter and you say, you heard right, sister. Unless you're planning on clocking off sometime soon and want to make it a table for two. Just be confident. You're paying good money. Get yourself a booth. Order yourself an appetizer if you want it, or dessert if you want it. Just go for it. But just make sure that you tip your waiter well. Number 3, put away your phone. This is probably going to be the hardest for most people, but it's very easy to be alone with our phones. It's just too easy to distract ourselves with social media or games or texts. We need to take some time to kind of disconnect and think. And so I would normally have put away my phone entirely, but I decided to document this whole thing for you guys. So my sacrifice for your minimal amount of enjoyment. Number 4, ask yourself some good questions. Over dinner, take your time and ask yourself some questions. Start off with the basics and be honest. For example, you can even start off with, how are you doing? What are 3 things that are going on great right now? What are 3 things that are not so great? What can you do to continue the good things, and what can you do to continue or not continue? What can you do to confront the bad things? Just make sure that you're being honest with your answers so you can really evaluate what's going on in your life. Pro tip, do not ask these questions out loud. You're already the weird guy sitting by yourself in the corner eating an entire order of calamari. You do not want to be the crazy guy too. Number 5, have fun. Dates are supposed to be fun. I suggest taking yourself out to do something that you enjoy doing but maybe don't always get the time to do. I took myself on a hike to Flat Top here in Anchorage, which is like a mountain here. And typically I am not a very good hiker, especially when I'm with other people because I am trying to catch up with them and I'm usually out of breath, so I can't really talk. And so a lot of people actually don't think I like hiking, but I do. But this time, because I got to go by myself, I got to go at my own pace, I stopped for photos, I got to just take in the scenery, and I just had fun. I had a lot of fun just on a hike by myself. In the past, I've taken myself to movies, I've gone to coffee shops and sat with a book. I've also returned home early and just drew because I don't really get much time to draw anymore. But this time I also decided that one of the things I would do is that if I were in my car, I would have the windows down and I would be singing. And because this is just between you and me, I decided that I would prove that to you. So here you go.
Standing on the top of a parking lot, I gave it all I had. Show me what you've got. There's some things I found, but now
Well, bye. I'm glad that's over.
I make so much sound. All these words, I don't need them now.
And number 6, do this again sometime soon. Being alone may be something that's not so enjoyable to some of you, and it definitely hasn't been the easiest for me, just being an extrovert and generally a self-conscious person. However, this was so much fun and definitely a very growing night, and so I suggest that you do this sometime, because you should treat yourself every once in a while, as long as it's in your budget and all of that good stuff. But it's also a good time to kind of reflect and sit down and figure out what's going well and stop the things that aren't going well. But overall, it's super fun, so you should definitely do it and have fun. So I hope you've learned some helpful things for the next time that you take yourself out on a date. Number 1, that it should be super fun. So go do that soon. I hope you get some time to schedule that very soon. Thanks for liking this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'd like to give a very special shout out to the class of 05. We actually had our 10-year reunion this past weekend, but I wasn't able to go. So I hope, for those of you who haven't kept up with me, that you see that I am, after 10 years, a almost functioning adult. You know, I like to keep my life how I had my grades in high school. Just barely passing. I hope you guys are doing good, and I will see you sometime